Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's just my opinion.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sway. That's right. Welcome to the channel where I give you my absolute honest opinion, and I don't give a damn. How you feel about it? As always, I have a trusty smoke and a trusty Coke. And before I get started, do not forget to hit like, make a comment, hit the subscribe button, press the notification icon so you can be notified of every time that I post a video. Yeah. All right, hold on. Give me 1 second. All right, so today is September 9th. Okay, September 9th. And today on September 9th, my mother, she's getting foot surgery. Okay. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh my gosh, you know, like that's nothing. It's foot surgery. Well, just a quick background, just like me, my mom has issues, physically. Okay. With my mom, she has a lot of issues with her back and her legs and everything. Long story short, she suffered a lot of injuries herself, you know. For me, my injuries were, I guess you could say, self-inflicted because, you know, I was a professional wrestler. On top of many other injuries that had nothing to do with professional wrestling, but and they're not self-inflicted, but I guess you could say because of my professional wrestling career, that my injuries were, I guess, self-inflicted because I could have chosen to do something else. But my mother's injuries to her back and her legs and her feet and everything, they're not self-inflicted. I can remember at one point, and this was when I was in high school. See, when I was in high school, my mother was working as a cafeteria worker, a cafeteria lady, lunch lady, right? She was helping making the food. She was doing, I mean, she loved that job. The unfortunate thing about that job is that her boss was a complete bitch. And I'll say it. Her boss was a tyrant, a bitch, and may she rot in hell. That's all I can say. But that's not all that I can say. That's all that I will say as far as certain feelings that I have. Okay. Now my mother, God bless her. God bless her. And, you know, and may she continue to have many more years with us. She's a very anxious person. Okay. She's a very anxious person. And from birth, she's always had anxiety issues. Now, mind you, you know, she was born, what, 61. And at that time, there wasn't a lot of options like we have now, you know, as far as medication or whatever, right? So, but she was always very nervous, and she was always very nervous and anxious and whatever, okay? And it was always nerves. It was always nerves with my mom, you know, and you know, as much of a pain in the butt she can be, but she's my mom, you know. She's always had my back. She's always been there for me. So anytime that she's been hurt, it hurt me deeply because it was the same thing that anytime I was hurt, she was hurt deeply. So there was this one time, it happened more than once, but uh this one time where I was able to kind of witness it, okay? In high school, and in high school, I was dealing with my own health issues. I was dealing with a lot of health issues, because I was on so many medications for a long time. It wasn't until after high school, well, towards my senior year in high school and whatnot, where I was like, fuck it, you know what? I'm not gonna take any more of these medications. I'm not, fuck it. If I die, I die. Whatever happens, I don't care, you know? But anyway, so I was in high school and I was on so many medications and I was always feeling like shit. So I go down to the nurse's office. Okay. I go down to the nurse's office to basically try to call out, and because my mom was working and whatever. So I figured she could just call the cafeteria. My mom would say, okay, it's fine. Don't worry about it, blah, 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 and that happened a few times, more than a few times in high school where I needed to call out. So I get into the nurse's office and I see my mom. I see my dad. I see my dad and he's helping my mom. And my mom's hands, okay, were like, she had him up like this. She had him up like this. I'm trying to get the best angle without the microphone in the way. She had her hands up like, pretty much like this. And they were wrapped up they were wrapped up in gauze and some kind of solution. So now this happened more than once where my mom, my mom's boss knew that my mom was an anxious person and that her nerves would get her. So every once in a while, my mom's boss, may she rot in hell, she, as my mom was carrying trays of food to the area to, where you pick up your lunch and whatever, she would sneak up behind my mother and scare her. You see, my mom's, like I said, her nerves get her. Like, every once in a while, I'll do something like that, but not when my mom's carrying food. Not when, it's more like and I don't do it where, and it's funny because, for me, my nerves are wrecked. So we do it to each other, we do it to each other. That's how we joke around, but we're careful about it, between mother and son, where if I'm coming out of the bathroom and my mom's hiding in there, like, we're just joking around with each, that's how, you know what I mean? So, but we do it safely. We joke around with each other that way, but we do it safely. And the reason why we do that is because we will, this is how we help each other with our nerves. This is so that way, if anybody else tries to do that, it's not going to affect us that much. But we didn't get into that until after this day, that I'm talking about, when my mom was working. But it was happening constantly, where my mom would have trays of food, and her bitch of a boss would go behind her and just scream, no, no, scream her name, no, I'm not gonna say her name properly, but she would be like, and what would happen is that, my mom would, like, and there was times where she did it where she didn't have food, and my mom would be scared she would fall. She would fall and she would hurt herself. Okay. It got so bad that, it came to the point where my mom basically sued the school board, and she won the case. And she won the case because there was a lot of witnesses that, and but this one day, and this was like the last straw, and when like my mom decided to finally just sue. And so what happened was that my mom was carrying a tray of food, and this bitch of a boss, she, whatever. And my mom ended up tripping and, well, falling back, and in trying to protect herself, she, from the food and everything falling on top of her, she burned her hands. So my mom had to spend time in the hospital and whatever. Luckily it wasn't bad. It was just like a second degree burn, but that's still bad. Third degree and more, you need an operation, right? So it was just second degree burns, but still, what the fuck? So I say all of this to get into my topic that I'm going to be talking about today. Like I said, she's had her injuries and this, that, and the other. And then on top of that, you have insurance companies that are just assholes. Mind you, insurance companies, for the majority of insurance, medical insurance companies, the majority of them, they don't have practicing doctors. They don't. The majority now here's the thing, we're poor, right? We're broke, and we can't afford insurance, the good insurance. We can't afford it. My dad can't afford it. I can't afford it. So we're on state. I'm on state. Obviously I'm a grown ass adult, but I'm on state. um I can't work because physically I can't do anything. So I'm trying to see what I can do. But anyway, my mom, she's been basically retired. She was forced to retire at an early age. Okay. But she was forced to retire at an early age. So she gets money from Social Security or the state or something. I don't understand. I don't know. I got to ask her, but she's on a fixed income. And, of course, my dad, he works. So we all try to ship in, right? My mom with what she gets from the state, my dad from his job, we all ship in where we can to help pay bills and whatever. you know um there's been times where people are like, well, why don't you move out? Why don't you move out? Well, number one, I can't really take care of myself because I don't have an income, right? I don't have an income. I don't. And I'm living with my folks, because of my physical disability. And so, I help where I can. I help where I can with what I do get from things here and there. But if I were to move out, then that takes away with what's being brought onto the table. So, we all need each other. Um anyway, so getting back into the topic, it is like there's been many times where my mom needed to get something done, or needed some kind of medical thing or whatever, and the insurance just flat out refuses, or they try to change shit up. And I've been through it myself, and I tell you, I've been through it myself. And I'm sure many people out there who's on state insurance, you've experienced it where your doctor Your personal care provider or your specialist or whatever, they're saying, look, this shit got to get done, and the state is like, no, 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 we're not gonna pay for it. No, we're not gonna pay for it. We'll only pay for it if it's for this, that, or if it's this way or that way. Why? Because they don't want to pay a certain amount of money. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Okay. So with my mom, she needs today where she's getting it. Um, she needs to get foot surgery. Okay. And it's either gonna be where they can fix a couple of bones, or they would have to replace it with cadaver bones. All right. So the foot specialist, sets everything up and all that. And my mom was supposed to get operated last week. Okay. My mom was supposed to get operated last week. Oh, I keep I keep hitting this thing. Maybe I gotta find a different stand. But my mom was supposed to get operated last week on the 3rd. Okay. On Friday the 3rd. That's when she was supposed to get operated. All right. So the day before, all of a sudden the insurance says, no, 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 she can't be operated because she can't be operated because of this, that, and the other. Because we want it done this way. We don't want it done this way. We want it done this way. Okay. So in other words, they want it done the cheaper way. All right. They want it done the cheaper way. Seriously, basically that's what it is. So now they had to set up a whole different thing, whatever. They had to cancel the operation, all that, call a hospital like about an hour and a half away from us, and set up that operation over there. What the fuck? So today she's getting operated. Hopefully it's not as bad as they think it is, because if it is, then she's going to be in a cast. If it's not, she's going to be in a boot. But either way, you know what? Either way, it's my mom, she's getting older, I mean? Like, but this is how state insurance is, and there's a bunch of other state insurances and whatever. They're they don't have any doctors on staff. They just want the cheaper routes. And I'll give you another example. Another example would be where I was, where it was me. I had a hernia surgery. Okay. And in the process of getting of getting everything operated and whatever, my doctor wanted to cut away some skin. Okay, because I just lost mass. This was after my gastric bypass. I lost a shit ton of weight, and so they wanted to do that, like that tummy tuck thing, right? So the state was like, is that absolutely necessary? Seriously, they're like, is that absolutely necessary? Is that absolutely necessary? And my doctors, they were like, what the fuck? We know it's necessary. We're the freaking specialists. We're the doctors that deal with this shit. Don't you understand that if this is not removed, even with the best hygiene possible, it is a guarantee that it's going to experience some form of necrosis and other type of issues, and needs to be removed. So after that surgery, during my recovery, so my hernia was, let me see if I can, my hernia was from like right about here, like just below my pecs, just below my nipple line, to where my like above my belly button, and they had to move my belly button. Okay, they had to move my belly button because my belly button was way lower. So they had to move my belly button. They even offered to remove it. I was like, okay, who agrees to not have a belly button? And that's another story for another time. But so from right here, so I still have a scar that's about 5-6 inches long, about 5-6 inches long. Anyway, so in that time frame, what ended up happening, and it was not the fault of the surgeons or anything. It was, it was more of just what the fuck happened where uh in between the skin on the outside and in between where the mesh was, where the hernia repair was done, there's a hole that developed, and it got bigger and whatever, and it was nobody's fault. It was just a freak thing. So I go to my doctors, they have to check it out, whatever, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna have to use a wound vac, which is a specialized vacuum that will suck out any coagulated blood and any other fluids and whatever that's like preventing it from healing and all of that. And that's what it was supposed to do. And that's what my doctor wanted to do, right? That's what he wanted to do. So he calls the state, he has to call the insurance first. And that's a fucked up thing, that they have to call the insurance first to make sure they'll cover it. But that's what any doctors out there, right? Any good doctors out there, that they want to do is right. And they have to call the insurance first. You know what I mean? So they call the insurance, and the insurance says, no, we're not going to cover the wound vac. So what the fuck do you mean you're not going to cover the wound vac? Okay. So what ended up happening is that he had to physically himself push down on my chest, like from my chest and down, to push any coagulated blood and whatever into that hole, use a bunch of gauze and whatever to soak it up and wipe it clean, everything, use saline solution to wash it out. And then he had to stuff gauze into the cavity. Okay, into the cavity. And then for about 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months, I had to constantly, every day, get in there, do the same thing to clean that out. Now, this was the cheaper solution that the state was willing to pay for. Now, listen to this. The wound vac would have solved, everything would have been done, said, and over with within 2-3 weeks. Okay, going in every other day, where they or a nurse would come over to a visiting nurse would come over to my house and use a wound vac and do whatever. So within a 2 to 3 week period, I would have been fine, and then I would have been able to heal faster and whatever. No, but because of the fucking state, again, who they have no medical professionals on staff, it's all basically accountants and whatever. No, we're not going to pay for that because it's too expensive. I ended up spending 3 to 4 months having to do some stupid shit, wasting a bunch of gauze, wasting, like the fuck. All because it was cheaper. with the wound vac, there was not there was not a possibility of getting some kind of infection. This method, there was a high likely, it was highly likely that I could have gotten an, thank God I didn't, but I could have gotten an infection, then it would have gotten worse. And then what the fuck? All because the state didn't want to pay the more pricier one. Okay. I gave you another example. I'll give you another example. Somebody that I know, and I'm not going to mention them, a good friend, you know, a family member of mine, they had to, they're anemic. They're like me, right? They're anemic. Now, recently, what was it? Early last year, I think it was, yeah, last year, I had the iron shot, the iron pill. And mind you, when it comes to state insurance, it varies state by state. So anyway, so and they, it was just for me, it was just they you know, I went for my shot, for my iron shot. What it was actually, it was like an intravenous thing. It was like an intravenous thing, one and done. That's it, right? But my family member lives in another state, and they didn't want to pay for the one and done, so they had to go in for like two, three times for this other method. What the fuck? Medical, state medical insurance companies, they don't give a flying fuck about the patient. They don't give a flying fuck about the people, about poor people. Let's be real. A lot of hospitals, I'm saying like this, a lot of hospitals don't give a flying fuck about patients because of the fact that they're on state. A lot of the private hospitals have been getting in trouble. A lot of private hospitals have been getting in trouble because when it comes to people on state, they treat them like shit. Okay. Because they're not going to get as much money. Now you have good hospitals out there, and you even have a lot of state run hospitals that are the same way. But you have a lot of great state-run hospitals, private hospitals, and so on and so forth, that it's not about the money, it's about helping the patient. It's about helping the patient. And when they try to help the patient, and then you have the state being a bunch of dicks and assholes, the fuck, man. And that goes for everything. That goes for everything. I mean, like I have no, I can't, I'm not going to comment on whether or not, all insurances, all medical insurances, all like that, like if you pay for your medical insurance, I wouldn't know your experiences because I don't pay medical insurance. But if you do pay for medical insurance and they treat you the same way, make a comment down below. But I'm just saying that it's a bitch. It's a bitch. It's a bitch. It's a bitch. It's always about the dollar sign. It's always about the dollar sign. Oh, well, we don't want to, it's like, okay, how can I put it? How can I put this? Okay, it's like, again, it's going back to, like, let's say my situation. Okay, it's like, okay, you got sick. You're right, you're sick. And then, but there's a cure, but the cure costs, let's say, $100. Okay. But then there's a treatment, not a cure, but a small treatment that is, let's say, 50 cents. They're not going to pay for the cure. They don't care how sick you are. They're not going to pay for the cure. They're going to pay for the treatment. Why? Because it's less money. See, our tax dollars are going into this, right? When we pay taxes, when we pay taxes, I do pay taxes. I pay taxes, when not all the time like I used to, because I can't, because I'm not working. But when I do, uh, when I do something or whatever, I pay taxes and I help out and what have you, so I'm not a leech in society. You know what I mean? I do what I volunteer. I do, whatever. But my thing is that taxes are going into this, and they rather keep that money in their pocket than use it for what it needs to be used for. Now, there's a lot that I can say about that. It depends on a person's point of view, because some people will say, well, the government really doesn't put a lot of money. Somebody could say that the government really doesn't put a lot of money into state insurance. So they basically, they're doing their best with what they have. I think that's total bullshit. I seriously think that's total bullshit. But on all levels, whether it's bullshit of saying that, or bullshit that it's happening, it's just bullshit. But either way, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. A lot of here's my thing. A lot of people would be better off. A lot of people would be better off if, when it came down to state insurance, if they actually did the proper procedure and not try to do something cheaper. A lot of people would be better off if things weren't balanced, weren't being balanced on what's cheaper or not. Okay, just do the proper deal. Seriously, do the proper deal. Keep people healthy. Don't have them having to go into the hospital or whatever 24/7. We'll be much better off. But they don't want to help anybody. Everything's about money. Everything's about money. Big pharma has a big stake in this. You know what I'm saying? On everything. Big pharma has a big stake on this. So they don't want to get any. They don't want to have anybody healthy. That's just my opinion. I am not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. This is not whatever. This is just my opinion based on what I've experienced, based on what I've seen, and what many of my family and friends have experienced. Just a quick video today. Just remember, I'm Sway. I love you all. Peace.
Hey everybody, this is Sway, and I just want to remind each and every one of you to check out Out of Mind. That's right, check out the Out of Mind website for a lot of great content, everything from UFOs, conspiracy theories, world news, you name it. Pretty soon I'll be doing a lot of content for Out of Mind that you will not find on this channel, so check it out at oom2.com. That's oom2.com. Also, if you want to support my channel and you want to buy some merchandise, we have I Don't Give a Damn merchandise. And if you also want to buy me a coffee, send me a CashApp, VENMO, or PayPal. All of that information is in the description box below.
It's just my opinion.